I'm Dorothy Rowe, and the video you're about to watch is a clip from a live webinar. If you enjoy the content of this video, please like and subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you.
Downloads for everyone. Download in the heart. It's really important to me that the outcome of our webinar is the highest level of personal development for each person here participating. A healing to support each person in this workshop to have the clearest, most complete, most profound understanding of their own Devic structure, their physiologies. Starting from silence. Silence is really, really thick and really, really deep. I'll try to talk loud so we don't lose me. Very thick, very deep silence. Access to the causal body is through the heart energy center. So it's the heart energy. It's the wisdom. It's the wisdom here where we analyze and synthesize our experience in a very sort of pure way without, we perceive reality through the heart energy center without agendas, without filters, without, there's some filter, a little bit filter, because there's always going to be filter anywhere in the physiology, but here is like there's a direct access to the causal level of self. So it's like there's no lying. Your heart doesn't lie to you. Your mind can say, I didn't mind that. Oh, my microphone messed up. I don't mind. But my heart's like, gee, I could have been more professional for everyone. Yeah? It's just the truth. It's the truth. Here's the truth. I have more respect for you. So there, in the heart energy center, I'm just calling it as I'm seeing it, is that flow of compassion is coming first. And that's pretty much natural. That's basically what happens in the heart energy center, is we start with a flow of compassion. And then the flow of compassion, it's orienting toward the causal body. So the flow of compassion, it comes up as a feeling, as a very fine feeling, as a form of the source of creation, the energy from the source. Then it translates into this feeling of compassion. And I would say compassion is like, I would call compassion the signature of the mother of creation. And the mother of creation is probably the largest deva in the universe. The mother that birthed the whole universe. That aspect, that largest, like if you took every form in the whole universe and brought it together into a single body, that would be the body of the mother of the universe. And the deva of the mother of the universe, the soul of the mother of the universe, the energy, structure. That's her. And she's defined by that value of compassion. Unconditional acceptance. Complete adoration. Complete power and ability to overcome all problems and challenges. So it's kind of nice that we're starting this healing from such a high level, right? Such a big level, the mother of creation. It's so beautiful. And that energy, the light of that energy is just filling here in the chest area. Just filling up for everyone and sort of defining and taking shape in the heart energy center. It's absolutely fascinating that it moves with the flow of attention. There's a flow of attention moving between our individuality and that great, huge, amazing, massive form of creation. Yeah, so somebody's asking about breath, because the breath is in and out. And of course, the breath is the universal form, life-giving, and in it becomes our individual. And it is through the respiratory system, the devata, the intelligence of the respiratory system, that we see the whole story of how the one becomes many and then enters in and realizes that it's just one. That story is told in a very concise way through the whole respiratory system. So yes, the breath can also be a player in this process. The air comes in and it goes into all the little pockets of the lungs, right? And from there it goes into the circulatory system, the whole flow of the body. So what's happening is the air itself is being infused with compassion. The compassion is like, there are all the qualities of life force are in the air. But in this case, the quality of compassion is like dominating. My experience a lot of times when we do these healings is it's no breath. Even though I'm talking, there's enough breath to make speech, but it's very delicate, almost not there, because mostly silence is pervading. Mostly that energy signature of totality is pervading here in the heart energy center. And what's happening is that's causing an alignment between the wisdom center of the chest with the entire cosmic reality of creation. Anywhere there's been a little misalignment, that's being kind of washed out and clarified. It feels like the silence is so thick and it's so deep. It's like the Deva, the value of Amarnath, which is an aspect of Lord Shiva. And Shiva is that Deva of creation that is responsible for the inward stroke of the flow of awareness and the cycle of cosmic evolution. And it comes back, so everything comes back to silence, right? So Amarnath is that deepest silence. And there's an incredible peace in that silence. So what's happening is the establishment of peacefulness in the chest area to create a foundation for everyone's ability to move awareness into all the dynamic areas of creation, all the dynamic areas of life without being shaken. I mean, we could say, oh, is there a 112-point matrix coming in here too? Please, can you make a point that we'll add the 112-point matrix to the follow-up letter? Thank you. But 112, because 112 ways to reach totality, 112 ways to experience wholeness from the Shiva Purana, right? And then the mother of creation asks Shiva, oh, tell me of your nature and how do you have that? How do you have that trend? So he lists his 112 ways. We've talked about that in I have videos on it, you'll see. So, but mostly what I'm feeling is the silence and the 112-point matrix going into every little pocket of the lungs, every little pocket of the respiratory system, every little part, but mostly the little pockets. They've lost their name, don't worry. We know that there's little pockets in the lungs. That's where it is. I'm watching the establishment of the 112-point matrix and all the little portions of the lungs. There, where the oxygen translates into the circulatory system, attaches to the hemoglobin, it goes into the circulatory system. There, every pocket is reviewed. This now revealing of the Devatas, or Devatas, in the physiology, which are very, very fine. And their ability is to go in to the fine tissues of the body, maybe cell by cell by cell. You know, if there's a alveoli, thank you, Doris. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, the alveoli. And there are devatas that go into at a cellular level, even the subcellular level, but in this case, it's the alveoli-sized devatas that are, and they're just waking up, they're just enlivening it. As they wake up and enliven, their intelligence, it sends messages to the brain, and I'm actually feeling that it's the brain stem that is also waking up, because all these autonomic functions of the physiology, like the heart beating and we breathe, I mean, to a certain degree, we have conscious control over our breath, but for the most part, this breath and the heartbeat and the way the nervous system functions and the way the digestion functions, these are mostly, maybe the breath sits on the junction point between partly consciously controlled, but a lot of times also unconsciously controlled. But here in the brainstem is all this autonomic functioning is also being kind of activated and enlivened by the flow of intelligence that's moving from the alveoli. For instance, how the oxygen gets from the alveoli into the blood. That's not something that we consciously think about, right? But the Devic intelligence of the body is responsible for that type of thing. And so right there, because there's those certain parts of it. And I'm feeling the awakening and the activation of this very sort of fine tissue structure of the physiology, like a wave of energy through the body, light energy in the body, supporting and activating from the whole chest area, including, right, the heart's also part of the autonomic nervous, governed by the autonomic nervous system, and then up into the brain stem. And there's some kind of beautiful, rich connection occurring between the brainstem and all these autonomic functions in the physiology. So, what it's doing is it's the light of awareness is moving in through the autonomic nervous system to illuminate or wake up the depth and richness of intelligence in all the autonomic functions of the physiology, which are like the special homes of the devatas of the body. I mean, the devatas of the body, there are devatas for everything. Like I have a devata for my eyelids. So Dorothy thinks, well, I decide when I close and when I open my eyes. Like that's a conscious choice on my part. But there's also intelligence in the muscles and the connective tissue and the soft tissue and everything around the eyelids. And so when I have the intention, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to open my eyes, the intelligence in the tissues that kind of helps to carry through from my intention to the actual opening and closing. What if the muscles stopped, right? The muscles, they have to do what they're made to do. So the devata intelligence is in the muscles. And when I have that intention, then the devata value in the muscles, it responds. Deep down in that junction point between conscious intention and the actual functionality of the physiology, that's where the devatas are. And we're really, I can see today, we're really focusing in on the actual devatas of the body. There are obviously devas throughout the whole universe, and I'm not sure where the line gets cut, where you cut the line between something you call a devata. I mean, I've been cutting the line right at the physiology. If it's in the physiology, it's a devata. If it's not in the physiology, it's a deva. But, the planets have souls, and those are the soul of the planets is the deva of the planet. It is the energy form that makes the connection between its physicality and its evolutionary course. But I'm feeling the compassion, and I'm feeling the compassion nourished and nurtured by the flow of soma. Lots of great muscles in this area, right? Especially the heart. Heart's like one of the big, strong muscles of the body. And it's like right there where you produce compassion. And compassion is the foundational energy in all light medicines, as far as I can tell. I mean, maybe someday, you guys, 2, 3, 4, or a decade down the road or something, I'll go, oh no, there are other foundations for light medicines. But right now, and I've been doing this an awfully long time already, like 40 years, I am seeing every light medicine has a foundation of compassion in it. That's why I was saying that the value of compassion is associated with the mother of creation. And of course, the healing process, the compassion, it flows to the areas of the being, and particularly these meridians and channels that connect, and just also the nervous system itself, the actual nervous system, as it connects between the brainstem and then the whole chest area and all the structures and functions of the organs and systems that show up here in the chest. Their responsible position of supporting and upholding the Devic intelligence of the physiology. There we have attracted the attention of the big Deva, Devata of the physiology, the body elemental. So there's kind of a hierarchy of Devatas. We have Devatas so small in the proton gradients inside the mitochondria, so small, all the way to big. All of the little Devatas form together, like all the little subatomic particle Devas form together to make the Devata of each cell. Each cell has its own Devata. And then the cell Devatas form together to make the Devata of each tissue. And the tissue Devatas form together to make the Devatas of each organ, which form together for the systems, which form together for the whole body. I use the word body elemental to describe the one that oversees the whole body. It's kind of a fractal in structure. And they all reflect each other. And they all must work in tandem in order to support the highest health of the physiology. One of the things that's happening as I'm closing my eyes here is I'm kind of seeing into the Devata structure of the group and everybody's physiologies. And one of the things I'm seeing is that there are some tissues that are more, everybody's different, right? But for some people, there's delicacy in certain areas and other people delicacy in other areas. And I'm just, what's happening is the awareness is moving systematically. As I mentioned, there are Devatas that can go cell by cell by cell, or tissue by tissue, or subatomic particle by subatomic particle, even subcellular particle by subcellular. And they can read through each one and check to make sure that there's a kind of consistency in the energy structure of each piece. So right now, it's like a sweeping of reading, going through the physiologies, everyone's physiologies. And what's happening is we're finding those spots inside the physiology where there's a little dissonance. Where the Devata is a little unhappy, if there are any unhappy Devatas or any Devatas that are not in solid alignment with the overarching place that each individual is in their own evolutionary trajectory. And the heart, the wisdom of the heart area is unfettered enough by like agendas and beliefs and the kind of filters that sometimes we get more in the mind area. It's unfettered enough that it's able to find those spots where the dissonance is. And in all the spots where the dissonance is, the self-identification is being separated from the resonance that's not in harmony with the rest of the physiology, so that the self, sense of self, is able to step back and just witness that spot. Whatever spot in the physiology is not feeling harmonious, sense of self steps back and just watches. It's just looking at it. It's no longer gripped. It's very common for the sense of self to get gripped by discordant feelings in the being. I'm not sure why. It's just how we seem to be structured. A lot of times that pattern just shows up again and again. So sense of self, it's partly, okay, I know why. I say that, right? Because, but then here in my group with you, in the group with you guys, then all of a sudden, oh, the answers just pop. So, okay, so what happens is the one shows up as many, and then we as humans, we sit at this point where the one starts to actually go into, it starts to enter into the diversified structure of creation and find its own nature subtler, subtler. Sense of self is the self, the big self, the one eternal self. And there's an element of self that's part of that integration process. But when it comes to discordant feelings, which are involved in places in the body that aren't fully functioning at their potential, and there's some separation from the big self, the eternal self, the whole self. There's a part of the sense of self that gets a little bit sort of gripped by the material expression of creation. And right there, so we ungrip it. So that's the energy that's happening. And that it's weird because the part of the self that gets gripped by the discordant feelings in the body, especially if there's a sick part, there's some part of the body not well, it is suffering from the sense of self, suffers from a gripping of a feeling of being separate from wholeness. And the weird thing is that the antidote or the solution is to separate that part of self from that which is gripping it. Do you see how weird that, do you see how paradoxical that is? That, right? That the big self, the big one self is like, ah, yes, I'm part of all this, I'm creating all this, I'm part of it, I'm part of it. And at some point or another, it's like, I don't know, I'm just the parts. I'm just the parts. And that's where human intelligence comes in and goes, oh, well, I'm just going to look at that part and see how my awareness can integrate it back into the source of creation, which is really what all of science is, and all that we do is this. Everything we do is part of it. Making music, everything is part of this process of finding the divine back into the parts. So weirdly, the problem is that the sense of self becomes separated from wholeness by getting gripped into the parts. And the solution is to separate the sense of self from the parts just enough, just so that there's the witness, there's just a little gap. We create a gap of silence. The silence is this being. So what we're really doing when we separate individual self from that which is gripping it is we're creating a little gap of a manifest being right in that system that was not functioning in a healthy manner. Wholeness. We put a little drop of wholeness in there, a little piece of totality, a little boundary made of the boundless. So I'm just going through and I'm just reading through all the physiologies and looking at how the Devic intelligence of all the bodies of all the people participating in today's session, and how we go into the spots where the unmanifest, where any little area that's not functioning at its full potential is there, and separate out the sense of individual self enough that it's witnessing. We're witnessing that imbalance in that area that's not, and it's not that any part that's not aligned with wholeness is going to be, the suffering is a byproduct of not being kind of aligned with wholeness. But whatever alignment is present in itself is not a bad thing, because everything in creation comes from the source. Everything is anchored back. It's just by taking the individuality out of those discordant feelings and then witnessing them, we put a little padding of totality between ourselves and the part that hurts, or the imbalance. It's a very interesting picture, because I'm seeing for some people the imbalances are way down deep into like subcellular structures and functions, and for other people it's like tissues, organs, and systems. So we've got a range, we've got a spectrum or gradient, we could say, of areas of the physiology that are being affected. And even for people who have, say, organs or systems that are in need of some energy healing support, even there we can find the seed of the imbalance going back to finer levels inside the tissues, inside the systems or the organs, and then down to the tissues and down to the cells and down to the subcellular. So the whole, we can come down to the finest level of the body's, the very fine level of body devatas, very, very small, fine level, and how the awareness becomes like a kind of advocate for the healthy functioning of the body's devatas. And wherever our attention flows, the Osoma also flows.